Dude, this has got to be one of the weirdest weeks of NFL football I have ever seen. First of all, we had a team nearly stay undefeated, but you got to hold on to the football. Instead, he gets called for holding. The Bengals get absolutely smashed, and I think a team won without having a single passing yard in the second half.
Yeah, that happened. And something else happened, Josh, on a Sunday night. This game ended in a tie.
The Micah Parsons Bowl ends in a 40-40 tie. So wait, the Packers didn't win, the Cowboys didn't win, but neither team lost. What?
The funny thing is, tell me if you feel the same way. I feel like the Cowboys, even though the score did not indicate, obviously, win-loss, to me, that's a win for the Cowboys and a wash for the Packers.
I hate getting into this whole moral victory discussion. I really hate it because there's no such thing as a moral victory or a moral loss. But
if you're a bad football team, there is such thing as a moral victory, I would argue. I agree there's no such thing as moral losses. There are more instances where there's moral victories than there are moral losses. And I said going into the game, I said, be very careful about thinking Green Bay was just going to go in and smash Dallas, because that's what everybody was saying on the talk shows all week. Cowboys were going to hear that. Cowboys were going to play well. I thought Green Bay would win relatively close. I did not think it was going to be a blowout until it was 14-3 early. And it looked like a blowout was on the board. All of a sudden, the Cowboys get the strip sack of Jordan Love. They go down, they score, and they score, 9 points in the span of 43 seconds, and they lead at halftime.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Dak Prescott looked fantastic in this game. Him and George Pickens looked like a deadly combo. I wonder how that's going to work once CD Lamb gets back. Because, CD's going to obviously be reinstalled as the number one. Pickens probably won't get as many targets. So how's that chemistry going to get affected? But I'll tell you what, Micah Parsons, although he didn't have a major impact on the game, I thought he made the game-saving play for the Packers when he sacked Dak Prescott, who looked like he had a clear shot at the end zone late in that game.
Yeah, that definitely, is one of the reasons why the game went to overtime. And my biggest takeaway from this game is actually all offseason, even before the Micah Parsons trade even happened, we all said the Cowboys are not going to be a good football team because they have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, yes, but they don't have a run game. Dak Prescott is coming off a second surgery, and their head coach is Brian Schottenheimer, who had never been a head coach in his many years in the National Football League. And yet, the Dallas Cowboys are, for one, very buttoned up. Unlike the Mike McCarthy era, they do not commit a lot of penalties. Dak Prescott is playing at the level that he played at in 2021, 2022, when he was in MVP consideration. And Brian Schottenheimer has this team ready to play from jump.
He really does. And, you and I both had the Packers in the Super Bowl when we did our preview show before the start of the season. I have them winning it. You have them losing to the Buffalo Bills. And right now, the Packers have kind of hit a bit of a speed bump, losing strangely to the Cleveland Browns last week. And then, like you said, everybody expected them to win this game fairly easily against the Cowboys, but it ends in a tie.
And yet, here's the one thing, though, I will say. They get to recalibrate now because their bye week is this week. And then they go home and they take on a Bengals team who, ever since Joe Burrow went down in week 2 against Jacksonville, has looked absolutely lifeless.
Yeah. Detroit is favored by like 10.5.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
And And by the way, that's in Cincinnati. When's the last time in the NFL you've seen a team on the road be favored by double digits? I mean, think about this. Even Buffalo this past weekend was favored by 15.5 against the Saints, and they didn't cover. And they were at home. So, I don't know. My takeaway from this is I still think the Cowboys are somewhat a third place team, but are they like an 8-9 win team instead of what we thought a 4-5 win team?
I think the Cowboys definitely caught a break thanks to MetLife Stadium. And I think the New York Giants are cursed because Jackson Dart played really well. But then, of course, they lost Malik Neighbors. So I think that puts the Giants into fourth place because if he had stayed healthy, I think there was a chance the Giants could have still overtaken the Cowboys for third.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, so Dallas, I believe their next two games are against the Jets. I know it is this Sunday, but I believe the one after that's Carolina. After that, it gets really tough for Dallas. So if the Cowboys are going to make any sort of run this year for a potential wild card spot, they have to win these next two games.
Yeah, which who knows with Carolina? They win 30-0 and then get spanked by the Patriots.
Well, and then they get the Dolphins, and who knows what the Dolphins are. Obviously, they beat the Jets last night in a not very entertaining ball game. Who knows?